front.
Oh,
The little red button.
That's good. Starting on my far left, I ask that the commission members would please introduce themselves.
Charlie Gray.
Joe Young.
Randy Shaw,
Jennifer Fairfield.
Kenneth DeGrans.
very good. We have convened to review I forgot the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry about that. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have convened to review certain matters and to make recommendations thereon. To that end, I already asked that. So I note for the record that the commission has a quorum to proceed. Where is yes. To that end, I ask if any member of this commission has a conflict of interest, bias, or ex parte contact to report with regard to any matter before us this evening. So I'm going to recuse myself from the vote because the applicant is working with one of my brokers in my office, and so I think that's a conflict of interest for me. Just to make sure that you know. Note, if anyone has to abstain from voting, be sure to remain as a quorum. So that means if I take that position, then we no longer have a quorum.
That's the way I understand it.
Which rule did you reference? Was it?
Well, it says, I note for the record that the commission has a quorum to proceed, and then it's above that, it says, if anyone has to abstain from voting, be sure there remains a quorum.
So that would be from Robert's Rules of Orders.
Yeah.
Order.
Well, do you have Clint's number? He offered if we had a problem that he would come. I don't know where, does he live out in Pine Grove area?
If you don't benefit financially
Well, that's the problem.
from this particular, but if you do other, different, in other arrangements or business deals, how would it technically, they would, that shouldn't be a conflict of.
Well, the problem is I could benefit financially.
Financially from
Yeah.
this transaction.
Yeah,
Stuart
that's
Bell.
correct.
Then not, yeah, about that.
And
That's what,
who else was on
Yeah,
there?
that's
Jim
what I-
I see a
Delaney.
lot of people who recuse themselves.
Which-
and Really don't have
Jim
a
said he was
reason to
going to
do
be
that, but
here.
in this particular case, I do.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a few folks. Maybe we can get somebody else here.
Well, maybe there's somebody else.
Well, yeah. No, Jim Malini, last I talked to him last month, at the last meeting last month, said he was going to be here. And then Clint offered to send an email this morning and offered to be here if we didn't
Oh,
have a
Clint
quorum.
Reines did?
Can they phone it in?
Yeah.
We could do it online. We've
Oh,
got a
sure.
we've got a Zoom number set up so that can be done by any, yes.
Is Jeremy calling him?
Yeah.
Please hold.
Huh?
Please hold.
Please hold, yeah.
He said he was in.
Oh, perfect. Did you hear that, Randy?
What did you say?
That Clint can zoom in.
Okay,
He said
well, that's
he was
good.
in.
What's that?
Clint said he was in.
Okay, okay. Well, that will solve that. So, let me see. I think I gave the Outlook invite, which has the Zoom call-in number on it. Freddie, are we set up if somebody zooms in to?
Yeah, the Zoom is set up.
Okay.
Don't you have to send him a link?
I did. I sent, when you guys sent that Outlook invite, that had a link on it.
Oh, okay.
So Clint is going to,
Trying to, yeah, we'll send it
he's got an Outlook invite with
to you.
the
Yeah,
Zoom
you
link.
just mean that. I'm sending it
Okay.
via text.
Okay, sure. So that would be a quorum then.
Hey, Freddie, can you keep an eye out for somebody joining?
Yeah, I'm looking out for it.
Thank you.
But when I polled the planning commission about changing the date to the 18th rather than, next week, the only person everybody confirmed that they'd be here except for Clint.
Now he's,
So I don't know, I mean, I guess I can send out I don't know if people forgot or if they just, I probably need to make a practice of, 5 days before the Friday before the hearing of sending out a reminder and reconfirming that people are gonna be there.
Yeah, and if you do have a conflict in the future, let us know sooner than later.
yeah, I didn't even think about it.
I got
until-
2 emails today that said they last minute, one just an hour ago from Kevin Harder that says he couldn't make it, and the other one from Clint this morning.
When I sat down, Robin got me this hard copy this afternoon, and I didn't get a chance to read it because we were filming a segment for our website.
Oh,
And so then I got back and I had just an hour to read everything, so I'm reading through this whole thing and I'm going,
well, so the mail you didn't get the hard copy in the mail then, yet?
I got mine yesterday.
I didn't get mine.
We sent them on Wednesday.
Yeah, I got mine.
I got mine yesterday.
It takes a
Gosh.
while.
Yeah, well,
I wonder if
I think he's
finance
gotta go
holds
to
on,
Portland,
sits
then
on
back
those.
to
or-
Medford.
Well, we
and
usually
then-
send them out Tuesday.
it's a
Right,
Friday.
it was Tuesday was a holiday, so it was a Wednesday, but then they go out Thursday morning. Just seems like a long time to.
Yeah.
Okay, he's on.
There he is.
Yay, now we have a quorum
Oh, hey, okay.
again.
Can you
Okay,
hear us,
Clint.
Clint?
Yeah, we can, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
did
thank
you
you.
wanna, for the record, would you introduce yourself, please?
Clinton Reines?
Thank you. Okay. I note for the record that now the commission has a quorum to proceed. With regard to each matter before us, the following order of proceeding will be observed. First, the planning commission will open the public hearing by receiving a staff report on the particular matter. Staff will be given 15 minutes for this report. Next, the applicant or their representative may present testimony, to include the testimony of witnesses. The applicant will be given 15 minutes for this report. Following this presentation, those who support the applicant may testify. We will then hear testimony of any opponents. Then we will hear testimony of persons wishing to speak from a neutral position. Each person testifying will be given 5 minutes for their comments. Last of all, the applicant will be allowed the opportunity to rebut any testimony opposing the application. Arguments and debates over the rebuttal are not allowed. The applicant will be allowed 10 minutes for this rebuttal. All testimony must be directed toward the Planning Commission. Additional or sidebar questions or conversations should take place outside of the hearing room. I also ask that you please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices. At the conclusion of the evidentiary portion of the hearing, this commission shall close the hearing to deliberate toward a resolution. It is not appropriate for the applicant, opponents, or any member of the public to comment or to pose questions during these deliberations. Finally, please be advised that at 8 p.m. we will take a short break. At 10 p.m., I will ask the Planning Commission members if they wish to continue, and will ask again every hour thereafter. If they vote to end the meeting, all proceedings will be continued to a time and date established. And with this, I would like to have the staff give us a report on map tax lot number 3908, 00100, 00 tax 803. North side of Highway 140 near West Ridge Divide. This is a zone change from rural residential R10 to rural residential R5 on 15.58 acres, and the hearing date is November 18th, 2025. And I leave this to you now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Throne.
Do you want me to just signal when I want the slide change? Okay. So we have some pictures to start off with. It's one of those evenings. Okay, so this is, the green area is the entrance to Southview Development. The road is Highway 140, looking in the direction of, looking in an easterly direction. The land right up in this area is the property we're talking about. There's some elevation back there. Here's the entrance to that property off of Highway 140. Here's looking at that same entrance more directly north, and the property, this is the road is also the dividing line. It's this property right along here up until the solar installation on that site right
I might be
there.
missing your laser pointer. Can anyone else see the laser pointer?
It's kind of hard with the LED TV, kind of absorbs it.
Can you see it like, okay,
I can see it on the wall. I can't see it on the screen at all.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I'll just forget about the laser pointer. I can see it really good from my angle, but it must be an angle thing.
Huh, okay.
Well,
That's fine.
it's all in the eye of the beholder. No, okay, next
So
slide.
which portion of the property are you referring to?
Okay, so if you look at, if you look down the road, everything to the right is the property we're talking about. And that property, being 15.5 acres, goes uphill towards the solar array up on the right-hand side in the back.
So this might be a
Here's a little bit better picture, or a bird's eye view. So we've got down in the lower part, we've got the intersection with Orndale Road, and you have on the left side of Highway 140, you have the Southview entrance. And then the area that has the lighter grass north of, well, to the right of that, if you're on 140, that is the subject property. But more or less, you can see the second entrance down there. If you start at the Southview entrance and head back towards Klamath, you can see where the other entrance to the property itself comes off of 140. And it's everything that's easterly of that, between that and the solar farm parcel is what we're talking about. Here's a more higher bird's eye view, and you can see the Southview development itself is to the left there. Here's the comparable zoning. So the area bounded in blue is the subject property. That is currently R10 zoning. The area to the east of that, that's in green, is all non-resource zone. You have the highway, and of course everything south of the highway that's light green is presently forestry range zone, with a lot of smaller parcels in that zone. Everything that's pink that's on the north is part of the planned unit development called, well, generally speaking called historically speaking called Southview. The north boundary of the subject property, the line that runs east and west along that is the city limits and the urban growth boundary. Here is a picture of the city limits. Now this is really strange. I'm not sure how this all works, but you'll notice that all the pink area is the city limits as it reflects on our GIS. There's a lot of confusing things that go down, and I wish the pointer worked because it's hard to explain all this without it. But there's a lot of strange things go down. If you go to the next slide, Jeremy, that's the urban growth boundary as it shows on our GIS.
So you can see there's
There's a disparity.
city limits are to the left, and the urban growth boundary is the road and a little bit to the right.
And normally it's
City
in,
limits are not on the.
well, I think
No,
there's
so
mistakes here on the,
But the property is, he's just showing where city limits are. There's a north-south line, that green line is city limits and urban growth boundary. There's no discrepancy between that line. And so the parcel that we're tonight is right of the curved property line over there.
So it's not.
thankfully, we don't
Yeah.
have to
So it's
address the-
contiguous to the city limits and
Yeah.
contiguous to the urban growth boundary, but there isn't a discrepancy on this property. It's
Right.
clearly out.
In the north, on the north end, the city limits and the urban growth boundary are one and the same.
Yeah.
Can you go back about to where you showed that pink that was the development?
Is that, no, I think that was it. So that was just the pink there, is the planned unit development, Southview.
Well,
And so that's the pink there.
yeah, this, not that whole area there.
So the green boundary
Yeah.
is the property that we're talking about.
And the, there's 10 acres on the other side of that. It's still the same car, but it's not part of this
No,
conversation.
no.
That's right. It's just the one parcel, and these were divided by a land partition that separated the two parcels that are currently zoned rural residential.
Yeah.
And then the parcel east of it that has the solar installation on it. That was all one tract originally, and just within the last year it was partitioned so that it's three separate parcels.
That other piece there, I think was 10 point something, and it's owned by the same outfit.
It's all owned by the same, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Next slide. Okay, keep going. So here's an example. The area in purple here, lavender, is the urban growth boundary. The area in gray are the city limits. Right where it says Klamath Falls, if you go down from that and to the left a little bit, you'll see a little tiny nub come out into the white, and that's those portions that we were showing earlier. So that's where the property is located. So it's common it doesn't happen all the time, but it's common to have your urban growth boundary also be your city limits. The town of Bonanza, for example, their entire urban growth boundary is also the town limits. But usually it's more expansive than that. So why is the property like it is, and why is that zoned residential? Well, that's a very good question, but we have to go back in history. So this is from 1979. This was, the Geary family are the ones who created the Southview concept to begin with. And of course, the Geary family is the family that also owned the Running Y, that later became the Running Y. But that was in 1979. That was by a city ordinance that this was adopted as a PUD. It was originally the AF zone, agricultural forestry zone, and it was adopted as a planned unit development. That was actually before we had zoning in the county. So this, and frankly, I don't think the city had adopted fully their zoning. So they had these AF zones. Why does the city own agricultural forestry land? Well, that's a very good question. But they were, so there was a lot of interplay on how that was going on. Go ahead, next slide. This is a map of survey that was done for the Southview development to show the extent of their holdings out there. And as you can see, the lower part of this is the lower triangle is in the county, although it doesn't really designate on here well, and I can't point to it. But it's, you guys can't see that, huh? Okay. I believe you. So there's a reason why it was considered, even though it was a city PUD, because there was unity of ownership, there's a reason why this keeps reoccurring as like a joint city and county venture. It's important to look at this for purposes of Goal 14, and that's why I'm going through it. Next slide. Here is an original plan, and if you look at the north arrow on the left-hand side and where it's pointed, you'll have to, in your mind, rotate that somewhat so you can see where the highway is oriented. But if you'll notice on this, it says commercial district. That is in the county. And the land just above that, on the top of that, if you actually oriented this to be closer to be north, where north would point upward, then that land is the land in question we're talking about. Next slide. Again, this is also an early conceptual drawing, and in this it shows the land that we're talking about being devoted to either commercial or purpose or other purposes related to this whole development. Next slide. This is of 2000. This was the amended master plan for Southview development, and you can see the white areas on the bottom. There is a designation for commercial, and that is in the parcel that is zoned residential right now, but they're not asking for a zone change on that. What they're asking for is the property just to the east of it. Next. And then 2 years later, it metamorphoses into the, what does that say? the Orendale Commercial District. So the city is making a lot of modifications on county land. Not sure why. Next slide. And here you go, here you got, this is part of also the, I think the 2002 submissions, it is. And you've got, you know, buildings designated. You know, there was talk about having that being a commercial center, a little strip mall, gas station, restaurant, convenience store type thing. That was part of the whole Southview package. Obviously, on this one, you can see the amphitheater to the north of there that still stands in a sort of way. Next. There's the last one of those, that information. These all came from the city of Klamath Falls files.
So I speculate that the Southview owner owned all of this. They wanted to process it all together. They got a PUD, and they went to expanding the urban growth boundary and annexing into the city. And in Oregon, those are two very challenging tasks. And so they probably figured out that it was nearly impossible to do that. So then the county kept the county zoning, and the rest of it was under city control and under PUD. So that's my speculation, just knowing how difficult it is to expand. You can annex into the city, like in the interior of the city. That's not expanding the urban growth boundary. When you're on the outside of the city and you expand the urban growth boundary, there's a whole process that you have to go through at the state, even though the landowner wants to do it.
And I would surmise that Jeremy's totally right about that. I think that's what happened. So here I've looked at some of the adjacent property. You can see where on the far right above Highway 140, you can see the solar panels to get your orientation. The parcel just west of that has the funny shape, that's the 15.5 acres we're talking about. So let's look at some of the sizes of the parcels and whether they have dwellings on them. In other words, let's look at, even though this is all zone forestry range south of Highway 140, at least until you get to the Green Acres subdivision, you can see at the bottom left. So we've got, well, above the north 140, we have 2.1 acres with a house on it. Below there, we got 7.65, 2.0, 8.48, 2.01, 7.0. All of those are less than 10 acres. So from looking at a compatibility of land uses and related land uses and not misfits, I would say that that indicates that a zone change from R10 to R5 is entirely a feasible thing.
And I would speculate a lot of those aren't in a subdivision, so they were created by a deed. Oregon had a 1979 date for a deed, which predated our comprehensive plan and our zoning. So most likely those all got set up prior to zoning, and then the forestry zone got slapped on top of it post, those had been there for a long time and already developed.
Either that or they were unlawfully created.
Or unlawfully created.
Which happened. But anyway, so those are the pictures. Well, the agencies that would provide a notice on the zone change, DLCD, and they had no comments, or they didn't make any response. Oregon Department of Transportation, they commented that they had no comments. The city of Klamath Falls, they commented that they would not be able to hook up to water and sewer. The Klamath County Fire District made no comments. The building department made no comments. The on-site department mentioned that they would have to, by law, reach out to, if you're within 300 feet of, city limits, or you'd have to reach out to see if connections are required to city services. Because the city said no, then that's been done. So these will have to have their own individual wells and own individual service. Klamath County Public Works made some comments, which are included in the staff report. And then the surveyor was also reached, but didn't make any comments because this really doesn't, until you get to the land partition phase, doesn't pertain to her. And I should mention too that tonight we're not dividing any property. We're not being asked to divide any property. That would come in a subsequent land partition. So it's just changing the zone so that you would actually be able to divide the 15.5 acres into 3 distinct parcels.
You've
that
got a bit less than a minute left.
each exceed 5
Have
acres.
an interruption.
Okay. Background and review standard. This is a zone change only. It does not require a change to the comp plan. Therefore, there's no commissioners here. Next slide. Goal 4 applicability. If it's less than 5 acres, an exception will be required. If they were trying to change this from R10 to R2, it's presumed that they are, by case law now, at LUBA, has determined that they are urbanizing, and so they would need a statewide land use exception. The commissioners would have to be here. If it's just from R10 to R5, and if you go through and do a Goal 14 analysis, which we just did with all of Southview and how that all developed, I would say that the county has made, has basically adopted that triangular piece as part of Southview at one point in time, and as an urban area, and as such, you know, that's not an issue in this particular matter. Next slide. If you look at our R10 zone and our R5 zone, on the purpose and the preamble, it's exactly the same with one exception. The R10 says 10 acres, one dwelling per 10 acres about density. The R5 says one dwelling per 5 acres, but everything else reads exactly the same. The point of this slide is to show how little is being changed. Next slide. So the review criteria, there's 5 of them by code. One is in conformance with the comprehensive plan, which this remains residential, so that's not an issue. Number 2, adequate in size and safety facility, any use is allowed in conjunction with such zoning. R5, a 5-acre parcel is well in excess of what would be required to have an individual septic and individual well. Next slide. The property, how it relates to public infrastructure to adequately serve the types of uses allowed, and the transportation planning rule. The letter regarding transportation planning rule was that only 29 daily trips would be created by this project. The threshold for a traffic impact analysis is 500 daily and 50 peak hour. That's not a concern. And the ODOT transportation has been grandfathered. You might want to talk to that a little bit more, the ODOT the ODOT permit from the highway? I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Oh, the ODOT permit from the highway?
Oh,
Do you know much about it?
where they have some-
Yeah.
It's been there.
It's just been there a long time. ODOT didn't have any comments, so and they were,
It's there. It's
sure,
You're good to go.
sure. So the next thing is, and then the other things, no adverse impact on use and development of adjacent properties. I can't see where that'd be the case. And specific studies or other factual information which documents the need for the change, that would have to be factual information that 3 R5 properties with 3 potential home sites is a beneficial thing over one 15-acre property with 1 home site. Next slides, I'll leave those. The next slides are the findings that have to be made, and we can come to those later on if necessary. Findings for approval or findings for disapproval or denial that you'd have to come up with if you wanted to deny it. So I'll leave it there.
Okay, do we have any questions for staff from the planning commission?
I'm a little unclear on the city-county thing, but it sounds like you guys may also be a little unclear on the city-county thing.
This property's out of it. We're clear on that.
Okay, so this is not at all impacted by the city
Right.
maybe doing.
It's
this.
just, there's a little discrepancy to the north. And then there's just the city and UGB line is contiguous to this. There's no discrepancy on that, so.
So how do the 2000 plans relate? It looks like they impact this property directly, the plans for that area.
We would have had to have adopted those and participate in those hearings. We didn't. And so they basically, in my opinion, slapped a PUD zoning on our parcel, and they had no jurisdiction to do that. It remains R10 to this day. So.
So would it be fair enough to say that it's really not actually legally done correctly? I mean,
The part on our property, or under our jurisdiction, probably isn't. Yes, it's fair to say that. The stuff inside the city, they had the right to do that, and
Sure.
still, it remains as a PUD inside the city.
So if further development was to come along on the county's property, then there'd have to be a process to remove that PUD. Am I not correct?
No, it doesn't really, it never got officially put on.
Oh, okay.
But the county went right along with it, you know, all the time. And I think what he mentioned is right, that they discovered soon that to change an urban growth boundary is basically a miniature act of Congress. And so they abandoned that idea.
I see. Okay. Are there any further questions?
There's one thing you stated, if there's a dwelling within 300 feet of the city line, that they'd have to be able to offer sewer. Is that, so as long as on that northern part, if the dwelling is more than 300 feet off of that line, then they don't have to access city, or the city has to make it available, and then they still have the option for their own sewer? I guess that's wrong.
So Southview has a private water and sewer system, and it's all homeowners association under there. The only thing that the city provides is a connection at West Ridge Road. And so I was going to show on, this is the city sewer map. So this is the project area here. The closest city sewers right there, and that's just a tie-in for the private sewer and water serving Southview. So
So as long as all the dwellings are more than 300 feet from that, then it's a non.
yeah, yeah, and that's a ways away,
Other questions for the planning commission staff?
just to the boundary of the property. It's 800 feet roughly.
Okay, so I don't see any other questions for the staff, so we would take some information from the applicant.
Good evening, Commissioners. Lanny Hickey, representing the client, and I work for Ryan Cross Group. Mailing address is PO Box 901, Climax Falls, Oregon 97601. And I just want to thank Jeremy and Justin. It was a very good overview of the property, probably more inclusive than I would have given, for sure. A lot of back history on Southview, and that interesting little area that is going to come up here in a little while, but it isn't coming up tonight. So this is pretty straightforward. It's just property is zoned R10. The client would like to develop 3 home sites, so purpose for the rezone to be R5. And with the legal access from ODOT, that isn't an issue. He would just like to build 3 homes there and utilize that land. So if you have any questions for
Does that
me.
conclude your presentation?
It does, because
Okay. Questions for the applicant? Okay, we don't have any questions for you, so now, yes, you can have a seat.
I just want to, again, thanks Justin for that. That was a great presentation. Thank you, and thank you all.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Okay, so next we would like to take some comment from people that are in support of the application, who might be in the audience with us right now. That might be you. Okay. Well, it's kind of an empty hearing room. So then we would also take testimony from those that might be opposing. Seeing none, we would take testimony then from those who are from a neutral position. Okay? There's no need to have a rebuttal to your applicant because we don't have anybody that was objecting to that. So therefore, I'm going to close the evidentiary portion of this hearing, and I want to go to the Planning Commission for debate and hopefully some decision on whether we're going to approve or disapprove.
I've never
Jennifer,
had a
you've always got a
single-
few questions, so come
I've
on.
never had a single person tell me they're looking for a 10-acre parcel, but they're often looking for up to 5-acre parcels. So I think it makes sense. I think on the application, they mention the niche for 5-acre lots, which we don't have a ton of, close to Klamath Falls. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Clint, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do not.
Okay. Anybody else on the commission that would like to make comment? Okay, seeing none, then I would move to, for a motion. I would ask the planning commission for a motion to either approve or disapprove, and with what conditions, if any. And Jennifer, you've done this before, but so has Joe, so one or the other of you might make a motion.
I would motion to approve the zone change with the recommended conditions by the planning commission staff of the site plan, which was Exhibit A, the on-site sanitation, which was Exhibit B, the public works, Exhibit C, ODOT Exhibit D, and the City of Klamath Falls Exhibit E.
That concludes your motion.
That concludes my motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion with a second to approve the application as submitted with the conditions that the county planning department had placed upon the application. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And we have none opposed, so it passes unanimously. And we don't have to hand it over to the county commissioners for any approval, so we'll just go straight to the planning commission. And you can work with the applicant to move this thing forward.
Keep things in-house here.
Okay, yeah, this is good. Okay,
So there'll be a final order and then an appeal period, and then it'll be done.
Right. so.
And the
it's still
planning
a little
director will
ways out.
sign the final order on behalf of, as the secretary for the planning commission.
Okay.
We have a secretary?
He is a secretary and a director.
He's a jack of all trades, this guy.
No, this is-
Okay, so I don't think we have anything further on the agenda. Thank you so much for the application and for making a presentation for us. And,
Chair, we just have a few updates about next meetings.
So I was gonna ask, do we have any
So-
in-house business that we need to do?
Well, we've got, so there's a meeting, the one in December is customarily the third Tuesday rather than the fourth Tuesday, because obviously the fourth Tuesday is oftentimes right around Christmas. So there's two matters. One is involves a board of commissioners, and that's a small zone change up in the Chiloquin area from EFU to commercial transportation. It's based on an exceptions from irrevocably committed, because the way it's developed, it's a little parcel that is, well, you know, it used to be Bill Kalida's realty office.
Oh, yeah, Bill Kalida's at real estate office.
Well, now it's owned, it's like a little coffee place. Well,
Yeah.
it's about a 6-acre parcel right behind it, next to the Williamson River. That's got highway on one side, public access to the river on the other side,
Yeah.
all sorts of things going on. Currently, the present zone is exclusive farm use, and the owners want to build a small boutique motel.
Did you know Bill Kalida?
I
He
did.
was a character.
He talked very slowly
Oh
and
my gosh.
deliberately.
He cracked me up.
And then the other one is also a zone, a re-subdivision, a replat of a subdivision up in Crescent. It's just a portion of a subdivision, and it's Donna Werner from Crescent Realty and Crescent Lake Realty who's got that
Did
up
they
there.
finish that sewer plant up there, Justin?
Mhm.
Did they?
Yep, that's operating.
Okay.
So this is to take, basically, when they platted the town of Crescent, they did it so small, so many years ago that it's not a buildable parcel, so it's consolidating and making
I see.
a building envelope that.
I remember that
works.
little tiny lot.
Yeah.
The district, the plant and the treatment and things are finished. The district is in pretty dire straits for operating because it's relatively, when you treat wastewater or provide water and you have a small denominator, i.e., hundreds of people divided into, this large operation becomes challenging. They've had rollover at the board level. I know a little, so they're not in the clear, but they're struggling and trying to get back on track. So,
Well, at least they have the opportunity. Before this, it was,
yeah,
you're
correct.
not
correct.
moving, no
Yep.
growth here because you can't have a sewer
Septic,
plant.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Yeah, so now they can actually have water and sewer hookups, and
Yeah.
that changes the whole dynamic, so.
It's good.
So that's coming up in December, and then in January 27th is the huge hearing before the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Commission, much like the last month's one where it's a Goal 4 exception. Because that is technically, even though it's juniper and sagebrush, that is technically zone forestry. So that one will be coming up the next month, and I expect there'll be something coming up in February too, so.
That's good.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good to have
these
some
are, and
some
that one
stuff
will,
going
that
on.
one would be another huge, well, I don't want to sound too prejudicial here, but huge economic benefit to the county
Yeah.
from the tax revenues alone,
Yeah, which is good.
And I think it'd be probably the biggest battery storage facility in the state of Oregon to date,
Oh, really?
quite possibly.
Oh, wow.
It's an $800 million project is the number I hear.
That's big. And
That's not chicken change.
I didn't realize it was that large.
Well, it's because lithium is so valuable, it's concentrated.
Yeah.
That's probably twice the value, twice the the one we heard, last month, that was probably about between a $400 and $500 million project.
Yeah.
So to put it in perspective, even though that was 1,500 acres, had, you know, so it's just, the lithium, those packs are very valuable.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, do you have anything further you got?
No, that's
Discuss?
it. We really
Well,
appreciate
then
it.
I think we could adjourn.
Thanks,
I would
Clint.
approve that motion.
Yeah,
Not a problem, thank you guys.
thanks. Well, that
Thanks,
was
thanks for
record
zooming
time.
in, Clint.
No problem.